Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this video, we're going to have a look at the MEQ-5 Pultec emulation from UAD. So firstly, if you're new to my channel, new to my videos, and you like what you see, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all of my future videos as they come out. So the MEQ-5 is the second module, let's call it, for the emulation from UAD of the Pultec EQ hardware. So in a previous video, I covered the EQP-1A, which was sort of the low end and the top end EQ component of the Pultec EQ hardware. And now we're talking the MEQ-5, which is the mid-range. So as with the previous one, this is an updated version of the Pultec Pro Legacy, way more enhanced, way more detail in the emulation, down to every little component within the hardware unit itself that they've emulated. So if you like using the EQP-1A, then this can add that extra little bit of control around your mid-range. Now the functionality of the EQs themselves are pretty locked in. So, you're not going to go and use this to get really fine detail EQ cuts and boosts, with lots of little frequency bands, etc., as you might do with a modern EQ. This is very limited to certain frequency ranges and certain widths of cues, etc. And so you need to sort of work with it and know what you want to use it for before you even bother to pull it up. So if you are someone that likes looking at or using these hardware emulations of vintage gear, then definitely check this one out, because again, it's another great one from UAD, but it is sort of a luxury item as well, so don't go and grab this as your first EQ plugin, because the limitations and the concept around it is really sort of boutique / luxury. It's not your everyday EQ as such. So as with the previous video, this one is again one of my older videos that's been on my website. Hadn't quite made it to YouTube, but definitely deserved a place up on YouTube for you to me to share it with you. So hopefully the quality is okay, and hopefully I'm not too boring in it. But let's just get in it and check it out, as showing you is going to be better than talking about it. All right, so here we go with the MEQ-5. As you can see, it's got a very similar layout of all the other Pultec style ones there, but this is quite a bit simpler, not as many knobs here, and we've got a lot less sort of control over various things. So generally you would combine this with the other components of the plugin, but yeah, as I said, they have separated them out to closely represent the actual hardware units. So over here we've got a switch that we can turn the plugin on or off, in or out, but for some reason we've also got one over here, and this one's got an added bonus, so we can turn it off, we can turn it to 0, or we can actually boost the volume up, and we can go anywhere in between. So it's sort of an off control and a gain control for us to level match. So we'll put it back to 0. Then we break it up into 3 sections here. So we have this section here where we have a frequency control here, which is 200 Hertz, 300 Hertz, 500, 700, and 1K. And then we have our gain. Now you can see here they label this as a peak. So it is sort of a bell-shaped parametric style EQ, but because it's labeled peak, we only get to boost. You cannot cut. So you need to take into account this limitation when you're looking at this plugin, because that's what the hardware did, that we can only boost the frequency here. We cannot do any cut. And then we'll jump over to this side because the control's pretty much the same, just a different set of frequency ranges. So we've got 1.5K, 2, 3, 4, and 5K. And again, we've got a boost control or peak, 0 to 10. And then in our middle here, this is where it becomes a little bit different. So our frequency range selector has a lot more options here. So we can go from 200 in these little increments. They are locked in or stepped, however you want to call it. So you can't sort of go between frequencies. You can only pick the frequencies that are labeled here. So we can go from all the way from 200 Hertz up to 7K. And we've got our gain control here, 0 to 10. But in this case, where these said peak, this says dip. So this is actually a cut control. So these ones here, we can't do a boost. So I guess the best way to work with this is that you've got this control here to boost these frequencies, this control here to boost these frequencies, and this we can cut. And we pretty much cover the gamut of these two controls here with a little bit extra on top. And they're all parametric style. All right, so I'm just going to play this song and then just sort of flick through these controls because this is obviously very simple. It's just an EQ, just with a character all of its own. So first what I'd like to do is I'm going to actually, I'll leave it on there. I'll bypass it in Cubase itself. So I'm going to play the song and I'm just going to bring this in without any EQ adjustments to see if there's any change to our audio signal and some character that's added in just by the plugin itself. So you can definitely hear there's a difference just by turning the plugin on. So it is adding some character and doing a little bit of change to our song to start with, just without even doing anything but bringing it in. All right, so now let's start playing with some controls and just flick through just to give you an example of what it does and what it sounds like. So if we, I guess that's an example of the sound. So let's just have a bit of a play and see if we can sort of get a nice little setting here that we might like on this song. Obviously this is a completed song, so really there shouldn't be anything to do with it, but you know, it's worth having a go. So in this case here, just to create a little bit of a variance here, I've done a little bit of a boost at 200 Hertz, done a bit of a boost at 5K, and then I'm just doing a little bit of a cut here at about 1K. So we'll just bring that in and out. Now, I'm not saying this is actually what needs to happen on this song. I just decided to do this just to give you an example of what you can do with it. So obviously a massive difference there. It's adding a lot of weight to the low end and a lot more crispness, and taking a little bit of that 1K sort of nasally sound in the middle there. So yeah, whichever version you prefer, that's up to you. But there you go. That's what the plugin can do. So there you go. There is the Pultec MEQ-5 from UAD. As I said, it is the mid-range EQ component of the Pultec EQ hardware emulations, and I think it sounds great. And while I find it, does a great job of what it is, it's not something I pull out very often, to be honest with you. I definitely use the previous one that I showed you, the EQ-P-1A, but this one, very rarely do I pull it out. Generally, if I'm looking at doing work in the mid-range and stuff like that, I probably find that I'm using more modern-day EQs or my SSL E-channel channel strip plugins than this one. But there's definitely nothing wrong with this plugin. It is fantastic at what it does. It's just not something that I gravitate to every day or pull up very often. But again, it's something that probably I should spend a bit more time with to see if I can really find out why it is what it is and how it can enhance my mixes. Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know what you use it for or don't use it for. Do you like it? Don't like it? Are you the same as me? You don't use it very often, but you have no problem with it? Or is it something you use daily because of a particular reason or a particular process that you follow to get a sound? I'd love to hear your feedback on it so that I can learn from you guys as well of why you might use these plugins. So hopefully the video was helpful, and if you did like the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. It really does help if you guys click the subscribe and the like buttons. It helps the channel out immensely, so I really do appreciate it if you do click on those buttons. And hopefully it's been helpful. I thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.